Welcome to Organizational Sherlocks, the podcast where business meets psychology and your organizational puzzles meet their match.
Join us for captivating stories and practical solutions to unravel your toughest challenges.
I'm Dr. Elizabeth Fleming.
And I'm Morgan Ashworth, your guides to a prescription for business success.
Let's dive in.
How you doing, Elizabeth?
Doing all right on this beautiful fall day in the Midwest.
You as busy as I am?
Oh my goodness. Always.
Yeah, no, I feel like Elizabeth and I lately, every time we meet, we're like, oh, I'm drowning in the best way possible, though.
Although I have to tell you, I have a massive to-do list and I feel really good about the amount of things I was able to cross off today. So it has been a productive yet busy day.
Yeah, love to hear that. So jealous. I don't think I crossed off anything on my list today, but that's okay. That's okay. I talked to a lot of people in my company, and a lot of people are feeling good. I have some managers feeling more confident in themselves, and just the team's really communicating. So that's all I can ask for, I guess.
That is important for sure. When you are a smaller company like me, I don't have that, but I also then have kind of the rest of it, like the marketing and the billing and all of the administrative stuff kind of falls on me right now as I grow my company. And so it's different, a little bit different.
It's a lot more. You don't realize, what really is behind a business when you're the one running it. Like, you're a lot more than you'd expect to be for the company. Like, obviously you started your company consulting, wanting to help other companies with their organizational initiatives, wanting to help them with hiring, wanting to help them with growing their people. But you also need to focus on company things like the accounting and the marketing and all that people forget. Even if we're an IO, we sometimes have to do other things.
Hey, you know what? It's kind of fun though, because it kind of stretches. It stretches my skill set more than probably have ever been stretched before. So I do not mind it.
Well, you let me know if you need help, because we're always talking, we're kind of mentors for each other to an extent.
That is so true. Absolutely. I will definitely do that. I just feel like the last two episodes though that we've had, having Darian and then Barbara and Kate on, between the last two episodes, like it was just really cool to hear. I know both of us were a little uncomfortable at times, while they were talking about how awesome we are, but
it's so awesome.
But I will say, I think that really means a lot. So I just want to do a kind of a shout out to the three of them for all of the kind words, of course, but then also being on this journey with us.
So. Yeah, and sharing your experience, because it's hard we've had guests even reaching out to us and saying thank you, and it's been a great challenge for them to publicly speak, and for students like yourselves to have come on and give your feedback and be open with your lives. It's a big audience to do so with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's pretty cool. So I just wanted to give them a shout out, but I know that we're kind of, going to be talking a little bit, in the kind of future episodes, about practicums and internships and apprenticeships and all of that kind of stuff. And I think, especially right now for Barbara and Kate, I think it's a very real thing for them as they are finishing up their practicums and then going to be looking at applying for internship in the next year or so. And so I think this will be kind of a fun way. And anyone who's been in a doctorate program probably knows what those words mean.
And type of education to develop some sort of skilled career.
Yeah, no, the only reason I say doctorate program is because it is heavy on the practicum and internship.
Yes. Yes. No matter what doctoral program you're in for, it's heavy on the practicum side for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of free work that happens.
Yeah, I feel like practicum, apprenticeship, things along those lines. Like, it's kind of that next step above mentorship where you're doing the work real time and either not getting paid for it or getting paid very little for it, depending on the type. But there's so much out there, and I feel like it's good it'll be good for us to kind of talk about them and kind of tell people, this is what's out there in the world. Too many people think there's only one route.
Yeah.
Is a problem. Like, we're both in business psychology. It's always going to come back to the two of us. We're both in business psychology, industrial organizational, and you came from clinical psychology, and I only did a master's degree. So it's kind of funny the ways that you can get into it, and you don't have to come from a psychology degree either. You could come from a business degree and do
I
what we
agree.
do. You just might need to catch up on the psychology knowledge that we have.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's all about like intention though, I mean, kind of what do you want to do? How do you want to kind of show up, kind of at, at work, or, if you run your own business or whatever it is, like, I think that intention is really important because like you said, yeah, we both come from, having graduate degrees, kind of in this world, right? But even outside of our degrees, I would argue that we just are very resourceful and we think about things and are curious about things. And so we're always looking and learning and
looking to learn, being open to what
Yeah.
else is out there, and not being so pigeonholed, right?
Yeah.
There's so much you can do with each and every career that you go into. Yes, some might be a little bit more straightforward than others, but I think the type of programming you go through might help you determine what's out there for you,
Yeah.
or direct the way in which you go
Mhm.
in your career. Like, I mean, I think of, there's apprentices in business, but there's also apprentices in the trades. And they end up with two very different, ideas for your lives. An apprentice that's an electrician or an HVAC apprentice, like your career is pretty set in stone to an extent. Obviously, you can go off on your own, you can do this, you can go into commercial versus residential, but then I feel like it's still more straightforward. You're doing the same type of work.
It's like the tactical, like,
Yeah, exactly. But like a business-based apprentice, like they could go anywhere. I mean,
yeah.
they could go work for an electrical company in the office, right? Or they could go and work for a large marketing company, work for a huge corporation, work for small companies, become a consultant. There's so much out there, and I think
Really, yeah.
and not just career-wise, but also education-wise, what you could
Well,
do.
and I think, there are a lot of programs. How do I want to say this? There's a lot of programs that are out there too, that even if it's not tied to a specific company or tied to a specific trade or whatever it is, like there's a lot of different programs available to people, especially along the apprentice route and especially in the STEM area right now. There's just a lot of investment in, giving people opportunities to learn new skills, whether it means that they're coming out of high school and this is kind of their first go at it and they're trying to figure out what to do, or people who are switching careers, or maybe they're kind of first generation in the United States. I know that there's a lot of programs that are out there, and I think it's just, to me, it's really cool. It's like, all right, how can we, the whole idea, the whole premise is, how are we investing in people, right? And how can we create programs and systems and whatever to support the development of people? And I think that's just really neat. So
Yeah. And I feel like the support the development of people in like certain ways, like, education can really affect the way someone thinks, even just like mentorship. Like we want to pass our, the way in which we do something, our process, not our opinions necessarily, but our values, on to the person that we're mentoring, right? And so education does that too. And, it could do that for better or for worse. Unfortunately, it can be for worse at times, if it may either pigeonhole that person or prevent them from being the best they can be. That's kind of more what I mean when it's for the worse in a sense. But I feel like education, it's not just something you go into and you continue on when you're young. It's also something that people go back to re-educate themselves or to expand their career options, or even truly just to do something different, because learning can be fun. I know people, I know back when I was in school, I had people that were just doing classes to do classes that were retired. Just because, why not?
It's funny because I teach, and so I can take classes if I so choose, and not that I have the time for it necessarily, but like I really want to get my MBA. I think there's just a part of me that's just curious and wants to go down that path. And I think I'm going to someday. I just don't know when.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. I mean, I'm back in school right now myself. I'm at Northeastern doing a master's in legal studies with business.
Yeah.
And I actually have a student, you're going to find this very intriguing, but I have a student I'm working with who's a current mentee of mine, and she is in an MIOP program, but if she does an extra year, the curriculum changes a little bit and she gets her MIOP and her MBA at the same time.
Wow.
I think that
That's
is
awesome.
absolutely genius because so many people don't know what an MIOP is, but an
Yeah.
MBA they do, and you get a different level of knowledge. You know, you get that little, you get a more of the financial side, you get accounting, you get a little bit of that background too.
Mhm.
So just like you're saying, you're doing accounting and marketing, you could find yourself doing that in a company just by accident, even if it's
Right.
not your own company.
Oh, absolutely.
I
Yeah.
know I do bookkeeping and pieces, like parts of bookkeeping, not the entire thing. And I control our marketing, so I can say that. You don't expect you can't necessarily, you know, determine what your path is going to be and only go on that path. You got to be open to the flexibility of your
Yeah.
career.
Flexibility and again, learning different skills. Cause I gotta tell you, like doing my bookkeeping is not my skill at all. But
For me,
I'm
I feel like it's
learning
kind of
and I'm like,
boring. I'll
I'm
be
learning
honest.
and I'm liking it. Okay. So, you know, it's definitely, again, it's stretching my skill set, but that's all right. I will
Yeah.
take it every day.
No. Yeah, on the bookkeeping side, you know, I can do it, and I mean, I'm still learning as I do it at times, but what I do know, I know very well, and
Yeah.
it's just, you know, it's not creative in a sense, so it's not necessarily my cup of tea, but it is good for when my creative burnout is kicking in.
Yeah. There are days, I will tell you, there are days that I would much prefer to sit and just like do administrative, super monotonous, like
Mhm.
detail oriented tasks. Like if you could just give me a bunch of words that I had to type into an Excel document, I would be happy as a clam. And then there are days that I have to be out there creating things, you
Or
know?
be social or not social, you know, being
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah. Also,
Definitely.
for what it's worth, I really don't want a bunch of words to type into Excel, but I just thought I would use it, you know,
Yeah, as
as
an
an
example.
example. So please don't send me words
I
to
mean,
type.
I feel like you have to do that in the psychometric sphere anyway. But yeah, I feel like
That's true.
these, you know, there's a lot out there. There's practicum, there's internship, there's apprenticeship, there's, you know, that more formalized programming. But then there's also, you know, some more informalized programming. I know my cousin actually, he spent his entire college tuition on getting a food truck, making a food truck. He spent his college
Oh,
tuition
really?
on a food truck, and he has already earned back his college tuition in a year.
I think
So
it'd be
he's doing
so
that. And he's
fun.
now in school, and so maybe I should bring him on. Maybe I should ask if he wants to come on. And then we have another individual that had actually reached out to our podcast, and it's I think a middle school or a young high school girl, and starting a company of some sort to, you know, help her start to save for college. So I
Right?
love to hear these things, you know, the more informalized programming too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about kind of all that's out there. And there's so much, and I know that we won't even be able to cover it all, let's be honest, just because there is so much that's out there. But, you know, being able to kind of talk about you know, what's out there and that terminology, because
Yes.
terminology does change depending on where you're at. So I know we'll get to that probably in the future episode, but and then hopefully being able to talk about some examples, you know, where some of these models have been really successful.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we're gonna have some guests that are also going to be able to expand and, you know, maybe fill in some of the cracks that we might leave by accident as we talk, because it is very expansive, like everything else we talk about.
Oh my gosh, 100%.
Well, we will see you all soon for talking about formalized programming. We're going to talk about practicum, internship, apprenticeship, the terminology and the logistics behind them, so that if you are looking into a doctoral program or not even a doctoral program, but this will be mainly doctoral, I feel. So if you're looking into education, you're looking into internships, apprenticeships of some sort, and you want to learn more, next episode will be your episode.
Absolutely. I think that sounds great. Well, Morgan and everyone that's listening, this concludes another intriguing episode of Organizational Sherlocks. I'm Elizabeth Fleming.
And I'm Morgan Ashworth, reminding you that the journey to success is an ongoing investigation.
Stay curious, stay strategic, and keep utilizing insights to decode your business mysteries.
Join us every Tuesday for your next Who Done It. This is Organizational Sherlocks closing today's case.
See you next time.